Okay. No, I was in Scotland just for holiday.
Thank you very much for joining us again. There's even more people than this morning for these, the second and last part of today's program, which is a short dedication ceremony to the Center for Italian Studies to the late Professor Mario Mignone, and a series of personal recollections from friends and former colleagues. I'd like to thank again everyone who's here, in particular Senator Laval, for making time for us. Senator Laval is a very good friend of the Center, personal friend of Mario, and as Lois Mignone was saying before, the Center would probably not be here without the help of Senator Laval. So thank you for being here, Senator. This is how the program is going to be. I have prepared a short series of slides to kind of explain where we are at the Center, because maybe not all of you know the technicalities involved with the Center, you know, how we operate and you know, what we intend to do going forward. But before that, I'd like Lois to join me. Lois will conclude with some remarks this ceremony, but I would like to have her here as we formally dedicate the Center to the late Professor Mario Mignone. This will become the Mario Mignone Center for Italian Studies. Now, we are a bit behind with the schedule of things, because after Professor Mignone passed away, a fundraising campaign should have started and the naming should have been happening by now. Unfortunately, COVID came and things are a bit delayed. So what we thought we'd do was to seize the day of the upcoming 40th anniversary of the founding of the Center in 2025. So the official naming with a plaque and all the perks will happen then. So we'll have another get together. So that it's always good to get a chance to celebrate. So we thought not to miss the chance, but we thought we would do the fundraising and a soft naming ceremony today with a dedication to of the Center to Professor Mignone. So this is what. So going forward, we will see the Center named after him. Lois, over to you.
Well, I'm thrilled. I didn't expect to speak right now. I've prepared some remarks for a lady. See, a comment. I'm thrilled and totally grateful for all of you for being here. I was joking with Luigi Fontanella before. They were talking about Mario being so devoted to the Center, and I said, I never had to worry about another woman in my life, ever, ever. Well, first of all, I always told him you'd be stupid. You'd really be stupid without me. But I always said the Center was the other woman, really. The Center was the other woman in my life. I lived with her. That's okay. I lived with her, and we're certainly thrilled that the Center will be named in his honor, and I'm super thrilled that his family and our family is here, and our dear friends and people who came yesterday. So I'll reserve my thank yous for afterwards. But again, I'm thrilled. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I can bore you to death with my short presentation, and okay. Grazie, and then we continue with the recollections, with your personal recollections. Now, I haven't prepared anything in writing because I thought that would have been incredibly boring, but this is the idea, to illustrate what we are doing, what we're gonna do going forward, and to tell you, so you can spread the word out there, to tell you what we need in terms of support for the activities that we have in Czech. Now, it's almost redundant for me to go over this again, but it's not to talk about what Mario Mignone did for the Center. We know he has been at the helm of the Italian-American program here at Stony Brook for 49 years, and also ran the study abroad program for 40 years, which is not secondary, and it's something that the center is actually has started working on more closely over the last few weeks. And then the other main event of the very quick, very short timeline is 1985, where the Center was founded, and it became kind of the hub for programming of research in Italian studies, as well in Italian American studies, as well as events and programs for the community. And this is what is unique about the Center. Which is not only an academic center, is within an academic institution, but has very, very strong ties with the community out there. Now, there's a couple of tough questions, especially for myself, who've just arrived here at the center. So how to preserve the history of the center while adapting to the new, adapting to new ways and design new ways to improve its present and future vision. And also, this brings us back to an overarching question, which is, what does mean to us today being Italian? It's something that has been already discussed this morning, an Italian American too, or American Italian, if you'd like. Where does this belonging, this identity, finds its roots? Now, we also touched upon this yesterday, the old versus new migration, the different needs of our constituency. We deal with the community, yes, we deal with the students as well, and the students of Italian, which are the core of the Italian program. Without the students, there would be no program, and the Center for Italian Studies would probably still exist, but to do what, right? So it would be mutilated in a way, okay? There would be no academic part. So we need to take care of all these needs, including the new migrations. So, and this is the center, this is what the center has tried to address with the new series of events. We had a rapper a while ago, an activist, Mirisa, and more traditional speakers such as Dacia Maraini, who was here no longer than a week ago. But now, what remains is the purpose of the center, which is to provide outstanding program, or help the Italian program, help the department, work closely with the department in providing outstanding program in Italian language, literature, and culture by offering courses. And you know that we have an endowed fund that is specifically designed for the provision of classes of Italian to the community. Which we keep at a very, very low fee for our students, thanks to this endowment. And then, again, the purpose remains the same, to be the point of intersection between the academic life and the life of the community. The center is, we'll see it in a minute, has a large endowment. Professor Mignone made sure that the center was self-sustainable, through a very large endowment. But the university plays its part, has an important role for the center. They pay me, for instance. They provide salary to the Matteo chair, another endowment that was envisioned and put together by Professor Mignone and others. The center administrator, Alicia, who again was instrumental to this conference. There might be some other staff additions. Those are all provided by the university. So the university plays its part, its big part in this. Also, in kind, in a way, providing the place where we are, which is again a unique place. When I interviewed for this position, I remember Joe Fusco asked me, "Do you feel something when you enter the Center for Italian Studies?" You certainly do, because it's in terms of space, something that you don't find anywhere else, or it's difficult to find anywhere else. We have a conference room, we have actually a small department here, so physically we're an important presence within the university. So the university provides facilities, infrastructure, and support in this sense. And they pay affiliated faculty. People in the department who work with us, with the center, are paid, of course, by the university. Now, but we do have our own money to achieve the aims that are linked to our key priorities. I've indicated 3 here. One has to do with heritage, and it's easy, it goes without saying. Create deep and strengthen deep and deeper connections with the Italian American community on Long Island. Work on the Italian American and the Italian heritage in general. There's the research part, through the identification of projects and the engagement, the continuous engagement of faculty, not only the Italian faculty or the faculty working in the Italian program, but also across departments. And this is, I think, an important part going forward to strengthen Italian through the strengths that come from cognate fields, history of art, could be history, could be Africana studies, or music, for instance. Talking about that, we'll have an event on Paganini in April, so it's something we'll work for. And then the teaching. Now, the announcement of the Italian language and culture courses at community level and within the provision of the department. And this is something that we are going to explore forward further in the future, but the strengthening of the connection between the lecturers and the staff working within the university and the coordination and the curriculum development of our language for the community courses is something that the center intends to work on going ahead. Now, this is what the center looks like today in terms of, let's start talking money. We have a big endowment of 2.4 million. That's what we have. Doesn't mean we can use that money, all of it. And then Sridhar laughs because he knows very well how it works. Okay, we only get a very small amount of the endowment, which is 4.5% of what we have. But we have the main account, which is the Italian Studies Endowment, that was put together by Professor Mignone, fundraising from scratch and from the community, from the hardworking Italian American community, and that generated nearly $1 million. Okay, so that's where the money we used to operate the center comes from. We're having some problems with that account, but we're going through a process of changing the type of account we're working with, which is administered at the moment by the foundation. We're going to transform that, and thanks to the help of the Dean's office and the Provost, we're transforming that into a more agile kind of account. That account was established in 1985, so it's very limited in terms of what we can take out, because what used to cost $200 in 1985 now costs $2,000, probably more, and we are very, very limited. So we're moving to get that account fully operational, and that would probably ease our way through the near future. Then we have a series of other endowments. A series of other endowments. We had the Tromba Italian Lecture Endowment, the De Simone Lectureship Endowment with a focus on Italian American literature in particular and culture. An Italian American Lecture Endowment for conferences, invited speakers. The Malgeri Italian Culture Endowment, which is a slightly broader one. These are the major ones. We have some others that have been endowed very recently, like the Dragotta Unico Endowed Fund, and also the Lauro Fund, which is actually part of the sponsorship for this conference. So these are all individuals who donated. The Italian American Lecture Endowment Fund was originally endowed by Rick Nasty, whom most of you certainly know. We have a fellowship programs. We have endowed fellowships as well, in addition to those endowments I was mentioning before. The Joe Fosco Fellowship, which is for the support of graduate students. It's an award, essentially, because Jo has contributed to the center not only with her continuous presence, but also in a tangible way. And for this, we're very grateful to her, of course. This is an award that supports one student per year, student in the MA program or in the MAT program. And this is something that we're looking at broadening, maybe with an eye to the classes for the community. It would be nice to use these students to coordinate the classes for the community. And then the Palmina Roberto Mignone Endowed Fellowship, which is offered, it's a generous fellowship that is offered in conjunction with a full waiver by the department and the Center for Italian Studies. So the department waives the fee to the student, and we offer a salary. And it's a postgraduate student in the Department of Languages and Cultural Studies. So you see the ties with the center, and between the center and the department are there. The study abroad, which is one of the staples of Mario Mignone's activities as a director of the center, and an academic. We have a very large study abroad program here in Stony Brook, and for some reason, though, that collaboration with study abroad between the study abroad and the Center for Italian Studies was not as practical, tangible, real as I would have liked. So we have decided over the last couple of weeks to disburse at least 2,000 each term, so 6,000 a year for now, to support students who are willing to visit Italy for their study abroad program. And then we are continuously engaged with a lecture series, workshops, and the organization of other events. This is what the center is probably most known for our lecture series, exhibitions, and performances. The Concorso d'Eleganza, again, Joe Fusco is the mastermind behind all those activities. The Italian Film Festival, now this is something that's been done in the past. We are in the process of revamping the idea behind it. And Ludovica knows what I'm talking about, because we were discussing this earlier on. We're looking to transform this into a, in an event with more impact on the community and on Long Island in general. Research initiatives, multidisciplinary ones in particular, and that again is at the core of the center's mission. Understand what it means to be Italian American. I strongly want to make the center a place where people go to study as well, and that way we can be also globally recognized as a center of excellence through faculty publications, conferences, and our outreach activities. I believe it's fundamental to make the center recognizable from this perspective as well. How to do that as well with through our graduate student fellow program, which should be strengthened further. We have the fellowships, but we need to try and combine them in order to make them more attractive, especially to an international audience. Sometimes, and for a few years, our fellowships were not awarded because we're either not publicized enough, or maybe the right person was not found, because the attention of the posting was given to the local community only, the local academic community only. But I think we have the potential to expand, and a good fellow, a strong fellow, can make the program stronger. Not only the Italian program, but let's not forget that Mario Mignone also put together a minor in Italian American Studies, which has been pretty much dormant after his death. And that's another thing that we have to try to resurrect and make strong again, make go strong again. Then an artist in residence, a writer in residence program could contribute to so bring some artist or even entrepreneur or a personality teaching teaching in the Italian and Italian American program to be accessible to the SBU community, and the community at large can really boost our programs both on the community side of things and inside the university. So this is a kind of a new area that we're going to explore to broaden our offer to students and the community. Back to what I was saying before, this is another project that we are going to start as soon as practically possible. Now, the center has books. We do have books. We don't have a library because these books are virtually not accessible. There's no acquisition program. There's no catalog. We are within the library without being within the library. So that's what we want to do. This brings with it, of course, remodeling of some spaces as well. But a library will be at the Center for Italian Studies and will be accessible through the university system and also the broader national and international research engines, because I think that's fundamental. If we want to make the center a study center as well, we need to have the facilities and the books to do that. Books or digital resources. As a matter of fact, I'm very much into the digital humanities area of studies and area of study and investigation in general. I heard Martino talking about earlier on this morning the necessity of the digitization of the migrant press, for instance, which is something I've been doing already in Canada for a collection there. But we also have the Pietro Di Donato archive, which needs a digitization. It will be easy to digitize. The papers are here. So it's certainly a starting point. And with the library, when the digital infrastructure is ready, that will be something that the center is looking forward to accomplish. So the Di Donato archive, migrant press, and God knows how many newspapers are out there needing digitization and wasting away. And we don't want that to happen. So I would very much like the center to be at the forefront of the salvaging of these important fundamental sources for the study of the Italian and Italian-American diasporas, but presence in general. And everything that will have to be in open source and accessible, not only to scholars, so no passwords, nothing, open to everyone to work with. Also because this creates community engagement. When I worked on the Italian-Canadian Migrant Press project, I found out that a big part of the project was a wee button called labeled "Tell Your Story," and lots of people got in touch through that button, saying, "Oh, I read this in your collection on that issue of that newspaper. You know what? That was my grandfather." Or maybe someone who gets in touch and says, well, I have copies of another newspaper. So that leads to another digitization project or project in general. So this creates, it's not purely academic. This also has the potential to create engagement with and for the community. Now let's talk, money. So, in order to do all these things, we need the endowment that we have can be used for a limited period of time, but clearly in order to accomplish all these things, or even partially these things, the center will start a fundraising campaign, a 3-year-long fundraising campaign, which will culminate, as I said, in the official renaming of the center in honor of Mario Mignone. So this is just a wee recap of what we intend to do. So creation of a library, a digital humanities collection, artists in residence, potentiate the Italian language fund, or actually create an Italian language fund that will support the teaching of Italian, not only at community level where we already have a fund, an endowment fund, but also at university level and in conjunction with the community. The strengthening of the offer in terms of the fellowships that we have, and the creation of the study abroad, travel funds for the disbursement of those 6 grand that I was mentioning before, or even more in the future, God knows. The heritage bit will continue to do what we have been doing and to keep the operations of the center sustainable, viable, and as they have been over the last few years. Now, again, money. For the research bit, the library project has a budget of 300,000, including the digital infrastructure and the acquisition. So ideally, we're looking at an endowment of 300,000 to start the project. So 200K will be needed for the digital collection to keep a digital collection program going for the future. Consider when you see these figures that this is the endowment that we are looking for, and we only get the 4.5% of that amount of money. So if we get 200K for the digital, say we get an endowment for that, we have 9,000 per year to invest in a digitization project of a newspaper. So the center will still have to complement that. Say we want to hire a fellow, the center will have to will have that money plus some other money to complement the offer and to bring in someone to do the job. The writer in residence, here we're talking about a salary for a person who comes in, maybe for a semester, even for a few weeks, will have to correspond the salary, and that is, it goes without saying, it will be 30K for no, less than that, for the person who will be here in residence. Of course, depending on what kind of residence thing we want to offer. For the teaching, again, we are envisioning a $15,000 a year to strengthen the offer at language, the teaching of language level. That would request an endowment of 350K. The fellowships, for now the center is subsidizing what we have. Now the Gio Fusco Fellowship is sustainable. The Mignone, the Palmina Roberto Mignone Fellowship is not. I'll give you an example. It disburses every year 15,000. A fellow is now paid by the university in salary 22. So that means the center, for every year that the fellowship is offered, has to correspond further 7,000 on top of the fellowship to make that fully viable and attractive. In our view, it would be best to use that money with a higher base on which to add in order to attract someone from abroad or a strong local fellow who will choose Stony Brook ahead of others because money talks, right? And the study abroad, in order to get the 6,000 we want, we'll need 150K. Again, it's easy to make the calculation. So this is what we budgeted for the center. And as far as the heritage, we are in a very good situation because with the new account and for the time being, and with the initiatives that we have put together, we should be fine and we should be able to sustain everything else. As I said, the center has already started, subsidizing new initiatives with the money that we already have. Thanks to COVID, our situation in terms of accounts is quite florid because not much money has been spent over the last few years, but it cannot continue. So this is a vision for the future. Of course, it's not like the center needs this money to be immediately operational. We can do these things, or at least start these things, or part of these things. For instance, the library project will start independently from the finding of a new endowment. The problem is to make the center continuously sustainable and operational for the future. And yesterday I heard someone making a remark about how the center will be conducted and steered away in the future. Now, it's easy to say. Sustainability is the first thing. Modernization is the second, but the two things go together. Because at the age of 40 is not only when you, like the center, you start losing maybe dear ones, you start to get gray hair. It's also when you actually realize that you're not getting any younger and you're a grown up, right? So now is the time for the center to grow up, and modernization, sustainability are the two core values that will inform our mission. In addition, of course, to merit, academic or not. We have a policy in place to hire everything and everyone through public competitions. We have already started doing that. And relevance, of course. Everything has to be relevant, and selection is made on merit. This is what informs my vision, and this is what will inform the center's vision going forward. Thank you very much.